Good evening, a warm welcome to Prime Business. I am Emma Davis. A look at our stories. Tax analyst Francis Timoboy is calling for the review of the implementation dates for 7 tax amendments signed into law by President Akufo-Addo from 1st January 2024 to 1st February 2024. According to him, some aspects of the tax laws have challenges which have to be addressed in order to see the smooth implementation of the policy. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Timoboy called for more collaboration between GRA and businesses to achieve the revenue target.
One of the tax laws has a problem. There's a mistake in the PAYE table, and if you try to add them up, it doesn't tie up. So what we hear is that the GRA says they are coming up with a guideline to correct it. So if the law itself has a problem, what do you do? And payroll, many companies have already run their payroll. So we will ask them to hold it a little bit, give businesses time to at least implement. We can start maybe February. I don't think we will lose much. And if we start February, then we will say that we are giving room for businesses to also, have some breathing space. With that one, I believe that we should be able to achieve our target because most of them are indirect taxes and people cannot avoid it.
In a related development, banks are worried about the impact of these taxes on their operations going forward. John Ewa is Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks.
This is a broader discussion, the tax situation or tax policy situation in the country. Our view is if people are overtaxed, then their ability to build or accumulate capital is hampered. So we need to balance the act properly. Of course, if the government doesn't also mobilize the tax revenues, how do we also enjoy basic services? So there's a balancing act that we should all be managing, and also to what extent do we efficiently manage the taxes that we have collected? So the focus, in our view, should not be on how many more new taxes we should be introducing. We should also be looking at how efficiently have we been deploying our tax revenues. And that should put the case on a scale where people are informed about the benefits of these taxes that, of course, we've all been hearing about the complaints, but the benefits as a result. But of course, as I said, it's a balancing act. We need an environment where capital accumulation is enhanced or is watered, and excessive taxation can, hamper businesses' capacity to accumulate. And of course, you have to balance it with the government's need to also provide social services, infrastructure, compensation, and other expenditure of state.
Therefore, as banks, you're worried.
Not about. Worrying is the economy is in an environment where we are not operating at. Should I say we are not, in the best of places, and I'm sure governments and the managers of the economy are looking at all kinds of ways of mobilizing as much as they can.
You see it as necessary evil?
It is, of course. At some point, somebody says, how we put it, who has to bail the cat? Somebody must pay the bills. The efficiency in the deployment of the tax revenues, and that's where I will put my CD on, that we need to also look very much at the use of the tax revenues, much as the impact on businesses and households can also have some negative effect on the ability to accumulate capital.
Now, the World Bank Group has welcomed the agreement in principle on the key parameters of the proposed debt restructuring for Ghana reached by the Official Creditors Committee under the G20 Common Framework. In a statement, it said this agreement, which is consistent with the joint World Bank International Monetary Fund debt sustainability framework, represents a critical milestone toward restoring debt sustainability in this country. It added that this agreement will help unlock financial support by international financial institutions, including a $300 million budget support operation supported by IDA, which will be considered by the World Bank's Board of Executive Directors next week. Commenting, World Bank Vice President for Western and Central Africa, Ousmane Diagana, said this will help Ghana in its recovery, attracting investments and restoring a sustainable growth path. The Resilient Recovery Development Policy Operation is the first in a series of 3 operations totaling $900 million and part of a broad World Bank engagement in support of crisis response and resilience in Ghana. Meanwhile, Economist Professor Lord Mensah is optimistic that $300 million support from the World Bank will create the needed fiscal space for government to execute its projects efficiently. He believes the disbursement of the funds will help Ghana in its recovery, attracting investments and restoring a sustainable growth path.
That's the good news. I mean, if you have debt moratorium of up to, 16 to 17 years, any official or any agent that is dealing with you as a country will be happy because it gives you that fiscal space, of operating efficiently. And so World Bank will definitely be happy. And now they can be sure that whatever extended, facility they provide to Ghana will be in good use, will not be, something that will be struggling to go and pay off, hidden debt somewhere. So it's a good signal, and I'm happy. They've welcomed the agreement because from the news that we heard from the finance minister today online, there's an indication of a debt moratorium. And of course, once there's a debt moratorium, it frees up, debt service space. And by so doing, if whatever money is extended to Ghana through the World Bank for a certain purpose, definitely that purpose will be achieved. So it is a welcoming, news.
The Chartered Financial Analyst Society of Ghana has advised investors to always pay attention to forecasts of macroeconomic indicators to make the right choices when investing. According to the society, certified financial analysts most often have the tools to sometimes predict the behavior of the investment market in the future based on scientific study. This, they say, could save most investors from losing parts of their funds like was experienced during the domestic debt exchange program. The following report has more.
The debt exchange program undertaken by government saw some investors lose some parts of their investment. The development has triggered the debate among academia and analysts if government bonds are still the safest and risk-free. Speaking to Joy Business at the second annual CFA Forecast Dinner in Charter recognition, the Vice President, Marwan Ansar, said it is time to learn by engaging financial analysts before investing.
Naturally, when you've lost money, it's painful. It's unfortunate people have lost money. But this is the time we can learn. We can go to the basics. First thing, seek the right advice. And don't invest simply because you think the returns are good. Know what you're about with your money and ensure that wherever you are putting your money, you have a clear understanding of what that money will do and whether that money will come back. As a society, we've been advocating that people should be ethical. We've been advocating that people should not just chase returns, but should take a broader perspective to investing and ensure that it is for the future, not just for the now.
On its forecast, the CFA Ghana Society believes artificial intelligence will drive investment direction in 2024. Mr. Ansar is of the strong view that it is time for Ghanaian investors to look beyond the country.
The forecast basically is to guide people on where to place money. And if you had listened to, we said that people should be looking into AI. And we said, don't limit yourself to the Ghanaian market, even though we agree that it's better to invest. If the opportunities don't exist, know that opportunities for investment anywhere in the world exist in our market. It shouldn't be difficult. You remember it was mentioned that the pension fund should look outside, but we have been given some opportunity to look outside. So yes, our prediction is that not much will change for this year, but if you really want opportunity, look outside.
On this part, the head of investment in charge of Africa regions at the Standard Chartered Group, Alex Essiedu, emphasized the importance of upholding ethical values in investment.
I think it's about doing in the dark what you would do in the light. So you know that nobody's looking at you, but you know that you're doing the right thing. And so it's about values, it's about transparency, it's about fairness, it's about putting people first. And although I love Eric a lot, I disagree with automation making sure that ethics comes into practice the way we want it to be.
Other speakers included Sandra Villa, partner to Oliver Wyman, Emmanuel Owusu of EcoBank Transnational Incorporated, and Eric Apiawo is Group CEO, Black Star Group. In all, 15 character holders were recognized at the ceremony.
The Ghana Chamber of Mines has indicated that it is working to increase domestic gold production in 2024. 2023 saw a 2% reduction in gold output, which was as a result of the fall in production by the Chamber's other gold-producing members. President for the Chamber, Joshua Mototi, projected domestic gold production to reach a record 4 million ounces in 2024, compared to 3.7 million ounces in 2022. He was speaking at a breakfast meeting with the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Outlook of the mineral sector in 2024. In 2024, the output of the Chamber's producing member companies is projected to increase to 3.5 million ounces, mainly due to fresh production coming from Cardinal's Namdini gold mine. The additional output from the mine, which is earmarked for the fourth quarter of 2024, will partially compensate for the anticipated decline in output of Newmont's Achim mine and Goldfields Diamond mine. The latter mines are approaching their end of life. With a projected output range of 1.1 million ounces to 1.3 million ounces in 2024 from the small-scale sector, the national gold output is expected to exceed 4.5 million ounces in 2024. Regarding manganese production, the planned output for 2024 is expected to double to 5 million tons. So really good projections for the year 2024 for us. The main downside risk, however, is to the overall mining production outlook in 2024 includes the high fiscal and regulatory costs, encroachment of concessions by illegal miners, and sometimes we're not being too sure about policy with respect to implementation of, say, the Gold for Oil program and the impacts on its operations on small-scale miners. I'll go a bit more into details on that. The economic contribution of the mining sector in 2023. Despite the challenges that I've talked about, the mining sector continues to be the backbone of Ghana's economy. Impact on gross domestic product. On the back of the high turnover in mineral production, the mining sector's value added to the economy increased from 9.3 billion cedis as of the end of the third quarter of 2022 to 13.8 billion cedis as of the end of the third quarter of 2023. In terms of its contribution to gross domestic product, the share of mining in GDP improved marginally from 6.5% at the end of the third quarter of 2022 to 7% in the equivalent period in 2023.
Ghana's forest cover could soon see a major boost after the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources commissioned a Teak Tissue Culture Laboratory in the Trima Nwabieja district of the Ashanti region. The cutting-edge edifice provides technologies which are viable alternatives to conventional vegetative multiplication to produce 100,000 to 1 million shoots in a single year. Here is a report by Clinton Yeboah.
Since 2017 to 2023, a total area of 728,608 hectares of degraded lands has been put under restoration in Ghana. These lands suffered the devastation of illegal mining, illegal logging, bushfires and illegal tree fells. Star Agroforestry Limited is one of the beneficiary private sector companies which has been allocated degraded forest reserves to undertake commercial forest plantation development. The company has been allocated over 1,500 hectares of degraded forest lands in the Offin Shelter Belt Forest Reserve in the Inkaria Forest District to undertake commercial forest plantation development. The Tissue Culture Laboratory has been established to ensure that the company can produce high-quality genetically superior tree seedlings for their planting activities and meet reforestation targets of degraded lands. Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Benito Wusubiu, who spoke to the theme, Public-Private Participation in Forest Landscape Restoration in Ghana, said the new technology is a game-changer.
I would say this facility is a game-changer for our forestry and even our agroforestry production drive, because until today, what we have in Ghana for tissue culture in terms of forestry was what is at the Forest Research Institute, Research Center, that's forage. And even that is for academic purpose. But this is the commercial one, and as such, this is going to help in ensuring that we get better and good quality seedlings for plantation.
Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, John Aluti, says the facility will produce indigenous species to fasten reclamation of lands.
They are also going to work on both the indigenous species and the exotic species. What they are doing now is more of plantation species, but we are asking them to work on the indigenous species that we have, like Wawa, Udum, and the other species. The plantation material will be available to all those who are investing in high investment plantation projects. And we hope that will help us to reclaim and restore most of our degraded forest lands.
Sanjay Huda, Managing Director of Star Agroforestry Limited, says overblown yields are guaranteed with the new technology establishment.
And definitely at present, what we are seeing with the condition of the Ghana weather, rain and soil, everything, what we are achieving in 20 years, we are assured of achieving that in 7 to 9 years anytime. 9 years is high SR. That is the one thing. You are reducing the half time, and beside the yield will be more. The yield will be more. So it is going to give a presence of 3x to 4x what people are already getting here. That is our target.
Reporting for Joy News, Clinton Yabwa.
Now, Senior Manager with Accounting Advisory Services at KPMG, Stephen Birchie, is urging businesses, both small and large corporations, to manage their cash flow at the beginning of the year to give them good credentials that could aid in acquiring loans from banks and other financial institutions. According to him, optimizing their cash conversion cycle will enhance working capital efficiency and keep businesses afloat. He spoke on the Joy Business Advisory Series.
First of all, I would say that companies have to look at their cash conversion cycle. That is an ability to convert inventory to cash.
Okay.
The shorter the period, the better it is. The longer the period, not good. So they should analyze and reduce it. How can they reduce it? The average inventory days should reduce. The average receivable days should also reduce. And you should also encourage favorable payment terms with suppliers so that you can delay paying. And in that sense, you can get available cash. That aside, you also have to cash flow. You need to analyze your cash flow very well. Beginning of the year, you need to have your cash flow for the entire year. We break it down into monthly basis, weekly basis, and if possible, daily basis. And what it does is that because you have forecasted what is going to happen in terms of inflows and outflows, you have the view. So if, for example, in the month ahead, looking at your inflows and then outflows, you have a surplus. You take advantage of that, you can invest it elsewhere. But if it's a deficit, you need to ask yourself, what can you do? Example, If there are so many things in the receivables, encourage the team so that they can go and bring more money so that we can able to make sure that we don't go into any difficulties. Another area that we need to look at is managing the relationship. This is applicable to both the supplier and also the customer. I always say that relationship is currency. If you have relationship with somebody, even if, the person is delaying payment, your relationship will be able to, convince the person in such a way that what you need, I will be given to you. So relationship here is very, very important when you are in business.
The World Bank estimates that the African Continental Free Trade Area could add to the global economy by 2030. And company, Professor Noel, for the continent in international trade negotiations with other continents. He spoke to Joy Business on the sidelines of the Crystal Ball Africa held in Accra.
Food to minerals to everything that the world needs is here. So Africa should do that. But we should have the confidence as Africans that we have something to bring to the table. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a complete game changer because you see, when you do that, you can come to the table as one group. The European Union does that. They want to negotiate with America or somebody, they come as the European Union.
Professor Nwotego further highlighted the impact of the domestic debt exchange on the banking sector.
I think what nearly brought the banking sector to its knees, particularly in customer trust and things like that, was the domestic debt exchange program. We cannot run away from it, but that is happening. And the banks are picking up. But the key thing is that the banks have to now start looking at how do we partner for growth. Because you see, the relevance of the banking sector is not in making profit so that the financial sector is the driver of profit. It is there as an engine to support the growth of the real sector. That is where things should happen.
The 10th edition of the Crystal Ball Africa was on the theme One Continent, One Market, Growing Businesses Beyond Borders, and was organized by AB and David Africa. The event brought together businesses and policymakers across Africa to discuss key business issues and produce workable solutions.
That'll be all for tonight on Prime Business. I am Emma Davis. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. But I leave you with international business. Have a good evening.